I wonder if you have ever truly inquired with all your being into this question of attention. I am not speaking of concentration with which we are all painfully familiar, but something entirely different because the two are fundamentally opposed. Concentration, as I see it, is always a form of resistance. It's an act of will, isn't it? Thought wanders away, pulled by a memory or a future projection, and you try to control it, to force it back, to focus it on a particular subject, a page in a book, or a problem you must solve. The very nature of this activity implies a director, a controller, and therefore a division, a conflict, a state of resistance. You are at war with your own mind, and this battle is exhausting. Whereas in attention, there is no form of resistance whatsoever. Therefore, to be attentive, and I mean completely attentive with your body relaxed, with your heart open, with your mind silent, with everything that you have, you must understand and be free of every form of resistance. And where does this resistance come from? If I look into it, I see that resistance arises when there is fear. It is the fear of not gaining, the fear of not achieving, the fear of not becoming something. This is the anxiety that pulses beneath our modern life, isn't it? We are conditioned from birth to become something successful, wealthy, famous, enlightened, or happy. We live in a culture of followers and influence where our value is measured by external validation, and so we are terrified of being a nobody. It is this deep psychological fear of not arriving at a destination, of not experiencing what we've been told we should experience, that prevents this simple, effortless state of attention. We are so busy trying to get somewhere that we can never be where we are. Now, I want to explore something perhaps a little more subtle. When you give your total attention, there is no entity who attends. This may sound rather obscure, but let's go into it. Perhaps you are listening to me right now, but are you attending? That is, are you listening without any form of resistance, not judging what is being said, not comparing it to what you already know, not agreeing or disagreeing, but simply listening? Are you giving your heart, your mind, your whole body to this act of hearing so that you are completely attentive? If you have ever entered that state, perhaps even for a second, you will see that in that moment there is no person, no entity, no center that is aware that it is attending. The you as the listener, the judge, the evaluator simply dissolves. All of your consciousness is in the act of listening, not in the idea of yourself as a listener. We taste this when we are profoundly interested in something, when we are lost in a piece of music, or stand before an immense mountain. The me, with all its problems and anxieties, vanishes, and there is only the music, only the mountain. The brain, your brain, is capable of such extraordinary things. I am simply astonished by it. It has taken us to the moon. It has designed technologies that allow us to live under the sea. It has created the miracle of a television, a telephone, the jet that streaks across the sky, and tragically, the complex shell that goes to kill people. The brain is so astonishingly capable, so clever, so full of potential, and yet the same brilliant brain, our brain, we have not been able to bring order to. Internally, we live in chaos. And the brain demands order. It cannot function optimally in disorder, it rebels against it. I do not know if you have ever gone into this. When you go to sleep at night, before you drift off, if your day has been disorderly, confused, series of contradictory fragments and reactions, the brain as it sleeps, as it quietens down, tries to put everything in order for itself. It must do this, otherwise it becomes disturbed, uncertain, unclear, and it cannot refresh itself. I don't know if you have observed this, perhaps just for the fun of it, to watch how the mind works. This brain demands order, and that order can be brought about consciously if you watch yourself in action throughout the day, if you take stock of what has happened, or even better, if you take stock as you're going along, observing your reactions, your motives, your thoughts as they happen. In this way, at the moment of sleep, the brain already has order, and therefore the brain becomes extraordinarily sensitive, alive, and fresh for the new day. It is the disorderly brain, the brain cluttered with the residue of yesterday, that makes for insensitivity, that makes us dull and mechanical. So, when the brain has achieved this profound inner order, it becomes quiet, and it is completely without any reaction when there is this total attention. And this attention, I must be very clear, is not a thing you practice. It's not something you're going to get from me or from any book or from any system. It isn't a thing where you can say, well, that was a very good point. I'll be more attentive tomorrow. I'll practice it. This urge to practice, to drill, to achieve is our deepest conditioning, isn't it? We live in a world that tells us to get things, get a career, get a family, get money, and now get enlightenment. We download apps to practice mindfulness for 10 minutes a day, hoping to acquire peace as if it were another possession. We are conditioned to believe that effort and discipline will bring us happiness, will bring us God, will bring us truth. But this is still the I struggling to become something. What is important, therefore, is not the duration of your attention or how well you practice it, but the understanding and the complete observation of inattention. Do you see this? Because when the mind, when your brain is aware of how inattentive it is, when you see without judgment how your thought has drifted to your argument yesterday or to your plans for dinner, that very awareness of inattention is attention. It's not a paradox, it's the simple truth. We are so busy condemning our distractions, fighting them, trying to force them away, that we never simply observe them. The moment you are aware that you are inattentive, in that precise moment, there is attention. You don't have to do anything. That awareness is the light, and the distraction is the shadow. You cannot fight the shadow, you can only bring light. Are we following this, you and I? Because you see, in exploring this, we are trying to come upon something that human beings have sought for millennia through every path imaginable. Even the most confirmed communist who believes only in the material world must have an occasional glance at the sky, at a passing cloud, at the stark beauty of a tree, and feel something beyond his ideology. And the religious person goes on pilgrimage, perhaps to a place like Tirupati in India, facing massive crowds to get a glimpse of an idol, all driven by this same deep yearning to find out what it all means, to touch something beautiful or sacred. But beauty, as I see it, is not in the thing itself, not in the building, the painting, the statue, or the person. But I mustn't get sidetracked on that now. So when the brain is still, which is the state of being completely attentive, the totality of the mind, in which the brain is only a part, becomes extraordinarily still, and the quality of this stillness matters immensely. You can bring about a superficial stillness by force, can't you? You can repeat a word, a mantra, until the mind becomes dull and numb. You can drug yourself or exhaust yourself through sheer discipline and call it peace. But that is the stillness of a stagnant pond, a dead thing. The stillness I am talking about comes naturally, easily, without a single whisper of effort, when you understand this whole process of knowing yourself. It is a stillness that is alive, active, and full of energy. It comes when you see yourself so completely that there is no distortion. And there is distortion always when there is any kind of effort. The moment I try to be still, the I who is trying is separate from the noise it is trying to quiet. That very division is the distortion. That is the conflict. Then, in that freedom, in that effortless stillness, when the mind is completely quiet, not made quiet, then and only then is there a possibility of something other than time, something other than thought, something other than the past coming in. We live in the past, don't we? Our entire consciousness is a bundle of memories, experiences, and conclusions. And from this past, we project the future. We are trapped in this corridor of time. But when the mind is silent, that corridor dissolves. It is only then that there is a possibility of that immensity to be seen. But this immensity cannot be invited. How can it be? How can my little mind, this mind that is so clever, perhaps so erudite, scholarly, or perhaps so austere with its own harshness and brutality, how can such a mind, which is the product of time and noise, receive that which has no frontier, that which is timeless? It's an absurdity. It's like a small, cracked cup trying to hold the entire ocean. Whatever the little mind conceives of, it will only be its own projection, its own image. Thought, after all, created God in its own image, an image of justice, or mercy, or power, and then it worships that image. So what matters, if you are serious about this, is not to seek that immensity, but to understand your own mind. Wisdom is greater than saintliness. We worship saints, the ascetics, those who renounce and discipline themselves, but this is often another form of becoming, another trap of the eye. Wisdom is something else entirely. Wisdom comes with the ending of sorrow, and the understanding of sorrow is to understand oneself. Sorrow is not an abstract thing. It is my sorrow, my loneliness, my fear, my jealousy, my grief, my desperate attachment to people and ideas. To understand sorrow, I must understand myself. I am my sorrow as long as I am in conflict. Then, in the understanding of oneself, not in pieces, but so completely, so totally, there is quietness. There is a profound beauty, and this beauty, after all, is love. Not the love of one for another, which is so often mixed with possession and fear, but a state of love, a state of being. And without this self-knowing, this order, this attention, this stillness, this beauty, this love, do what you will, Go to all the temples, all the masters, read all the books, practice all the virtues. That immensity, that nameless thing cannot be